we had a bridge that the state was forcing us to take down, and we hadn't gotten over to the other side of the river in a meaningful way for pedestrians. We were able to take that bridge with community participation. We was done with almost the whole funds that were raised by local people and to turn that into a pedestrian bridge. And that began to connect both sides of the river. That's the bridge right at the bottom is now pedestrian. And one of the things that came out of that was a park right there at that bridge on the other side of the river. But here we are at the point of having created a number of major efforts. The aquarium, another plaza, probably several thousand housing units by this time. We hadn't built a housing unit downtown Chattanooga since 1977. So these are big things to us, and not so big to you that they were in the right place in the right time. But then we look back at it, and we're about to do the next segment of the Riverwalk down at the foot of Broad Street. We have all this here. We've got a baseball stadium there, we've got an aquarium, all sorts of things. IMAX theater, a little bit of housing, but we're still not on the river. There's a road there. What do you do about that? We don't want the road, but we want that road to be different. And we brought in a firm, next door neighbor of yours, Jackson, out of Orlando, to help us show the politicians and eventually the state and T-Dot that we could do with changing this road to a two-lane road, pedestrian-oriented, and it would still do all it needed to do because we're going to take in the most fundamental issue relative to movement and traffic, and that's a maximum number of ways to move in New York City. At the time we looked at this, the only thing to do is come in from Amco Highway just as fast as you wanted. It came to one exit into town. And it was a mess. But the traffic engineers thought it was great. Our traffic engineers were idiots. They stopped. And just have to work your way through that stuff. Because they work out of a book. And their book talks about moving cars. Well, we're not talking about moving cars. You're not talking about moving cars. You're talking about making streets that are a shared space. Shared between cars, bikes, pedestrians, quality of place. And they have to slow down to that. That's what you do. You slow them down. So we talked the city into, you see the diagram up there in the black, all of those new entrances off that highway. Then we have one more step to make. How do you implement zoning ordinances? Well, this is where, I think he's left, but this is where the mayor steps in. And our mayor stepped in and said, I know how to do this. And he went to the state. Fortunately, he'd been a state financial director several years before. So I want to make a deal with you that we'll take over this road because you don't want to do this. I know you don't want to. And we'll let you work on another road to send your trucks through town. And he sold it. So the city took this road over and it started like this. Well, that then allowed us to do the most important thing left to do. And that's actually to move all the way from the normal understanding of what a river is to a city. At first it was a transport lane itself, then it had trains next to it, with manufacturing, then it had cars next to it. But the 21st century waterfront that we envisioned after we had control of this was a waterfront for people. It's our biggest public living room. And it's what is it's celebrated, and it's been an enormous success. Well, what was important to get there was to have a plan that was slightly bigger. Go back to that. Slightly bigger than just the waterfront. The two green lines represent a need. We still weren't reaching back into the city as strong as we could on Market Street, and we certainly weren't moving parallel. And this goes back to the final most important role of your public realm. Your public realm has to be so good, so wanted, that it's a generator of development. To create place and position and connection with your public realm. The streets are obvious, but for you do some parks, you don't start with just the park, you start with the edge. And what's to be on the edge? What's going to animate that park? And who's going to come and build it? So we got very involved in those two issues in the basic plan. And I won't go into in detail, but the plan not only had activities on the north shore of the river, it had activities on the south shore of the river. It also had development up to the level of about $75 to $80 million worth of investment at the same time the city was putting in $60 million. Just to start. And that's the way it was done. Partnership. You go out to the community, you go out to the development community and the community at large, say, we want to do this, but we want to do it with you. Not for you, we're going to do it with you. As a partnership presentation. And we did it. We got a whole lot of development done. We connected the north and south, the east and west. This is an example of the north-south, the east-west connection up to the Hunter Museum and Glass Bridge across, but more importantly, these yellow pieces are developments. And they all happen. And it was hard, but it did. This is the Hunter Museum was a part of that generation. They came forward to build in addition the glass bridge I'm talking about. Art is terribly important. I haven't seen as much art as I'd like to see. A little bit of walk around. And it involves people in the community, which is what you really want to do more than anything. Back to that connection back downtown. This is where the Trail of Tears, a historic condition, actually came through in 1736, I think it was. And we celebrated that as part of making the waterfront. Art again. And that's the waterfront is now completed now. And we still have a lot to do. There's another $100 million worth of edge to go. The vision is our ideas. It's our rivers, it's our public spaces, our housing, our culture, our celebration. Never lose sight of that. People are the resource for everything. You got to embrace the intelligence, the experience, the energy of that. And back to the place. This wasn't my 20 by 40 place with the wood-burning stove. This is where we ended up. And it's in this place that people came to see things just like this, to talk with us. And it's in this place where we have meetings like this, smaller somewhat. We need a big one when we go out. But all of the ideas that develop collectively. Because at the end of the day, the city is a collective place. And it doesn't recycle like force. It recycles because of you